Hi everyone, I'm Angeline, and today I'm going to talk about our paper on the trustworthiness of tree ensemble explainability methods. We've heard all around that AI is now being embedded into critical aspects of decision making, criminal justice, healthcare, and finance. As the use of AI becomes more and more widespread, it's very important to assess whether people impacted by these decisions can rely on the generated predictions. To assess the trustworthiness of AI, the ML community over the years has come up with different ways to explain ML models. This slide represents a small snippet of different explainability methods developed by the research community. Out of these different methods, feature importance seems to be one of the most popular techniques to explain ML models. A study conducted by Pat et al. Published last year shows how feature importance is widely used in industry. However, these feature importances need to be trustworthy in order for us to be able to confidently assess the model. So what makes a trustworthy explanation? Well, the answer to that question is still being discussed. Hancock-Lee proposed that good explanations should be objective. That is, it should accurately represent real patterns. In his presentation, we will refer to this property as accuracy. He also proposed that robustness or stability should be a desired attribute for a good explanation, which means that a good explanation can be reproduced with multiple ways. This is because a stable explanation indicates that these patterns capture the true phenomenon, not just the model itself. Our objective for this paper is to assess the trustworthiness of global feature importance methods. That is, feature importances that explains the model as a whole. We investigated this for tree ensembles such as random forest, gradient boosting, and XGBoost, because these are commonly used in industry. We also decided to focus on global feature importance methods, as the stability of local feature importance methods has been studied before. We're going to look at two feature importance methods, gain and SHAP, that are commonly used in industry. And we're going to look at two properties, accuracy and stability. We're going to look at different types of perturbations, that is when inputs are perturbed and when models are perturbed. So for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to go over a little background on the feature importance methods we're looking at, the data sets we used, experimental settings, our results, and conclusions. So we'll use two feature importance methods, gain and SHAP. Gain is an improvement in accuracy or a decrease in uncertainty brought by a feature to its branches. We can estimate the feature importance for the whole model of the feature by averaging this value across all its trees. SHAP is an approximation of the Shapley value. It summarizes the contribution of feature to the overall prediction. For more information, please refer to the paper by Lundberg in 2017, as well as its follow-up optimization in trees in his 2020 paper. For our analysis, we are using 4 real-world data sets, as well as synthetic data with varying numbers of features. We perturb the training settings in 2 ways. We perturb the input by adding different levels of noise to the training input. And we perturb the model by either changing just the random seed or changing the hyperparameter settings altogether. So first, let's look at the accuracy property. We define accuracy as how accurately can the feature importances capture the true coefficient's magnitude. We evaluate the accuracy on synthetic data, since only then the true relationship between the feature and the target is known. We assess the overall accuracy of the feature importances by calculating the Spearman correlation of the feature importances with the true coefficient's magnitude. To assess accuracy at different levels, we look at whether, based on the feature importances, we can get the correct ranking of the features. So we calculated the proportion of how much the importances was able to accurately rank the features exactly, almost accurately rank the features, or completely incorrectly. This table shows the proportion of feature importances accurately ranking top features at different levels. I'm gonna go over them one by one. So each row here represents accuracy at the different levels that we talked about. And for this specific table, we're looking at results when no noise is added to the input. Each set of columns represents accuracy for each of the top 3 features. And within each set, we compare the accuracy of gain and SHAP side by side. So here we show the proportion for that level of correctness. So here you can see that gain accurately rank the feature number 1 44% of the time. And highlighted underneath is the difference between proportions of gain and SHAP. If it's highlighted in orange, it indicates that SHAP has a higher proportion for that comparison. And blue indicates that gain has a higher proportion instead. So from this analysis, we found that both gain and SHAP only correctly rank the first feature around 50% of the time, although they identified that as important around 80% of the time. When we add a little bit of noise to the input, we also found that SHAP correctly ranks the features more often in low noise setting, as shown by the orange cells over here. When we look at the overall accuracy, all feature scores are quite low, even in situations when no noise is added, and it decreases a little bit as the number of features increases. So on average, there's only around 40% correlation with the true coefficients or even less. So now let's look at the stability property. For stability, we compare the feature importances generated by an unperturbed model versus a perturbed model. This is evaluated on synthetic data and 4 real-world datasets. And we looked at Spearman correlation of the generated feature importances from the 2 models, perturbed and unperturbed. So when inputs are perturbed, we found that the stability drops. And for datasets with more features, the drop is even bigger. So here we show 2 real-world datasets, one with less features and another with more features. And the stability for company finance dataset that has more feature is very low compared to the one with less features, as shown in this diagram. We also see this behavior in synthetic data. So when we increase the number of features, the drop of stability is greater and greater. And another finding we find interesting is that in synthetic data, SHAP seems slightly more stable than gain. When models are perturbed, we found that the stability also decreases, but it's not as significant compared to when inputs are perturbed. So here we show 2 different diagrams of the same data set, company finance data set. So we see the one with input perturbation earlier, and it has a very low stability. But with model perturbation, it's also low, but it's not as low as the input perturbation. We also see this with synthetic data. And actually, interestingly, in synthetic data, we can see that SHAP also exhibits a slightly higher stability, although it's not as significant. And the stability decreases to around 80% with more and more features. So some conclusion, we find that feature importances do not accurately rank features, but they're able to identify which are important. We also found that feature importances are more stable to model perturbations than input perturbations, but overall they lack stability. We also found that both SHAP and GAIN lack in accuracy and stability, but SHAP seems to show slightly higher accuracy and stability compared to GAIN. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.